morning, the world starts quietly. One soft light at a time, homes flicker awake, shops open. People take those first small steps into a brand new day. And in all of that ordinary movement, there's something kind of extraordinary. A moment worth noticing, a spark you feel before you even name it. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's small, but kindness shows up right on time. And every morning we choose to show up with you so we can look for that spark together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Roof, the Uncommon Kindness guy. And this is Kindness Rising. Let's rise together.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. The tech tried to get the best of me this morning, but I am here. I've overcome my technical difficulties and I'm ready to rock and roll. Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humor, and heart. And I hope we get off to a great start. Mike Sullivan, good morning, buddy. I am glad you are here. I met someone yesterday who was impressed by the idea that you came out here at 4:30 in the morning. She's out in San Francisco too. And she said, well, you know what? I'm going to try to commit and come to your show sometime. So we'll see if she shows up. But I was telling her the story, telling how you come here every day. Good morning, Roseanne. Mom, glad you're here too. I was just telling Sully, I met someone yesterday from San Francisco who was just really impressed with him showing up at 4:30 in the morning every day here with us out here. And she said, you know, I got to figure out how to get up and get my day started. Maybe that'll be my inspiration. So we'll see. We'll see who shows up. 8 p.m. or earlier. Wow. Okay, Sully, you're an early to bed guy. All right. I have a timeline too, but mine's a little later than 8 p.m. Of course, I don't get up at 4:30 either. I get up at 5:30. So somewhere in there, the point is to figure out what works for you, right? So that's what we're doing here today on Kindness Rising, chit-chatting with our friends. Mike Sullivan, Roseanne's out there. Who else is out there? Say hello in the chat. Get involved. Subscribe to the channel. That's why we're here. That's why we're here, to be here for you every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern on Kindness Rising and as part of the Mornings in the Lab Network. All right. Let's continue our conversation. We're continuing our conversation from all week long where we're talking about visibility, putting ourselves out there and making sure that the world knows what we have to offer. And, you know, yesterday we talked about the idea that when we withhold and we don't put ourselves out there, we're actually doing the world and ourselves a disservice. So that's what we're going to continue today. And we're going to talk about some of the barriers to being seen. Of course, the first one, not of course, but I'm telling you, the first one is absolutely the fear of judgment, right? What will people think? Am I going to sound foolish? I hate the sound of my voice. Will this be going to be misunderstood? What if things go poorly? The questions quietly prevent people from sharing ideas, people from starting conversations or trying something new. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the McDonald's CEO who took a bite of a sandwich on camera and was mocked for it on the internet. Maybe deservedly, maybe not. It doesn't matter. The point is, on one hand, it's those things that we all bond and connect around. On the other hand, the question that I have is, does that prevent or does that create some barrier for the next person who wants to try something that might be awesome? His was a fail, perhaps, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not sure I would have known what a big arch was if it hadn't happened that way. But the point is, does the question that it leads me, not the point, the question that it leads me to is just people being mocked or judged for what they bring to the table prevent others? And the answer is yes. That's a major fear. It's a major fear when I talk to people about live streaming, about what I do and about what they could possibly do or their interest. Absolutely, the fear of judgment is there. But here's the relief. Here's the surprising part, and what I've learned from going live since July. The vast majority of people, most people, aren't thinking about you. They're not thinking about you nearly as much as you might imagine. They're not analyzing or looking at your things the same way that they're not looking at your stuff the same way they look at their own, or the way that you look at your own responsibilities, your own hopes, your own uncertainties, right? That's people don't see that. So that should be freeing. That should be freeing. I think for me, taking the perspective of connecting with one person when I go live, or when I put myself out there, whether I'm speaking in front of a room full of people, or out here on the internet, and going live on the Mornings in the Lab network, I still hold to it. One person, that's it. Because one person can change your whole world. Absolutely. Maybe that person is Eason, K9E. Welcome. Good morning. I am glad you are here. Hopefully we can help to wake up together with some humanity, some humor, some heart, talk about emotional intelligence, talk about mental health, talk about marketing and going live, all the things that are important to us. Absolutely. So here we go. We're still rolling. We're rolling here on Kindness Rising, and we are going to explore today that fear of judgment and how it often shrinks the moment we begin. Once you get started, trust me, I had the fear of judgment myself when I was getting started too. But once I started and got into it, I got more worried about where the buttons were than worrying about what other people think. That's what's led me to where I am. Welcome everyone to Kindness Rising. I am glad you've chosen to join me here. I come here every weekday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, to get us up with a little bit of humanity, a little bit of humor, a little bit of heart. And today we are doing reflections on visibility as we approach my 1-year anniversary. Not that it's all about me, but it is all about me. This is my show. No, for real. I think I'm hopeful that it's a lesson for people, and it helps me. It helps me to process through things, and hopefully it will help you too. And I know one of my biggest obstacles to making myself appear, making myself visible. And I'm not even talking about when I switched to go live. I'm talking about before that, when I had fear to even post work, worried about what was going to come back and me, posting photographs, talking about my life, sharing my ups and my downs, and the lessons that I've learned, and the gifts that I've received, and the barriers that have been put up in front of me and the whole world, in front of the whole world, I should say. Wasn't technical. I knew how to post. I know how to record videos. I know how to write a script. So I know how to do a lot of things. It wasn't logistical. I had access to Wi-Fi. I could go anywhere I want. I had my phone. I've got my computers. I've got space to do it, time to do it. All up here, psychological barriers. What would people think? My former colleagues, my friends, people from other seasons in my life, or people who knew me in other contexts. Would they understand what I was trying to do? Would this make sense to them? Would this feel unexpected, right? Because visibility invites interpretation. And when someone's interpreting you, it can feel like judgment, and that makes you feel vulnerable, especially when the work is still evolving, especially when you forget to turn off your little space heater that's making an awful lot of noise. Awful lot of noise. Yeah, so we're talking about that visibility, inviting interpretation. What's going on out there in the chat? Say hello, right? We're going to keep talking about this, about what happens when you begin showing up consistently in some way or some form. I hope you will. I hope you will. Coffee. Reset my brain a minute. Sounds like this setting too. Interesting. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around, getting my head around. It was a rough morning getting started. One of those mornings that started late. We're getting going. Sully, I appreciate you jumping in. And Stella Blue by the Dead. Yes, got a little Stella Blue. Absolutely. That's cool. That's cool. All right. Anyway, like I said, most people are so busy building their own lives, they're not worried about what you're doing. So that's freeing. It gives you the space to experiment, to try things, to explore, try something new. Learning in public. People are fascinated by people learning in public. That's what I'm doing. One of the things I'm doing here. But my biggest shift happened for me when I stopped thinking of this technology that we have here as a way to consume and converted that into being a creator. And that term, I think, gets a bad rap. I was watching TV last night a little bit. We like to watch one little thing or something before we go to bed in our house. And we found a show. We're like, let's try this. And it was my God, what was it called? It's called like thrift store flip or something like that. Two teams of people go into thrift stores and they find things and then they try to upscale them and whatever the case may be. And all four of the people who were participating in this show identified themselves as creators. So it's like, okay, how we throw that term creator around. What does that mean, right? I'm a YouTuber, I'm a creator, whatever the case may be. But my point is that to me, that defines, doesn't mean you do a specific activity, but it defines how you interact with the world. Are you passive and just absorbing things? Or are you putting things out there? You can create with your words, you can create with video, you can create with photographs, you can create with games, you can create whatever. But that's the difference between being active and being passive. We talk about doom scrolling and the impact on mental health of that. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. The idea is that it's a mind shift from consuming to creating. It's how you relate to the world, right? Participating instead of only reading, writing, instead of only watching, contributing, and getting that momentum and that confidence, right? That will help you to move forward in other areas. Absolutely. All right. Enough of that yakety yak. Don't you come back, yakety yak. Don't talk back. All right. I'm having fun this morning, really, seriously. Bring the tunes down, roll into this song that we know. Wait for the drop. All right. There's the drop, my favorite drop in our Spotlight anthem. Conversations about mental health and mental well-being have been open, much more open in recent years, but many people still hesitate to express what they're experiencing internally. Organizations that normalize that conversation, they help people to reduce the pressure that people feel to appear a certain way all the time. And that's what Active Minds does. Active Minds was founded by a woman named Allison Malman after the loss of her brother Brian who committed suicide. I shouldn't say that word, sorry. I'm not supposed to say that word while you're streaming. Anyway, struggled with mental health. And his struggles have largely gone unspoken. And what began for her as a student-led effort to create more open conversation on a college campus, her college campus, University of Pennsylvania, has grown into a national movement helping young adults talk more openly about mental health. Her work is grounded in the belief that when people feel safe to speak honestly, others will realize that they're not alone. And when we realize we're not alone, fear begins to lose its power and begin to be seen, even imperfectly, and that can be the first step toward connection, support, and healing. Active Minds reminds us that, as we'll be showing you their website, Active Minds, there they are. Good look. Here they are. Active Minds. They remind us that openness is not weakness, it's actually leadership. And sometimes that courage to be seen begins with the courage to say, this is what I'm experiencing. So this is their growing movement, celebrating the past 2001, so they've been around for 20 plus years. All the initiatives and programs that they are participating in, leading, launching the K through 12 program, a mental health academy, all of this stuff, 20 years of impact throughout the world, helping young people. 60 million people experience mental illness each year. 30% of young people have a diagnosable mental illness, and 48% of young adults experience mental health symptoms during the pandemic. Absolutely, the pandemic was a huge impact on all the populations and young people were going during that time. All right, comments. What's going on? What's interesting is there's a small shift from fear to excitement. That helps to remove any creator fears. Absolutely. Absolutely. That idea of shifting to I get to, from either I have to or I don't want to or I don't know how to, but I get to. Absolutely. That excitement mindset makes a huge difference. Mike Sullivan, and I appreciate that you understand that. All right. Time is a flying. I promised I would all week long, one person a day that I would give props to, that I would recognize and shout out. And I am going to stick to that promise. A person who's been on my journey. He's been on my show before, at least shown up in the chat. Supportive person. Looking for, I forgot to pull up his profile. You know, it's just one of those days. Here we are. Okay. Stop sharing that. Present invite. Share the screen. Share that. Boom, boom. Sharing. We are sharing. We're all sharing. There he is. There's Dani Maldonado. I know I've talked about him. You've seen him before. This is Dani. Absolutely. Dani is an amazing guy, amazing person. He's very self-effacing, calling himself a mid-voice and a thought leader and all those funny things. And we are in some groups together, and he's got his posts that he puts out there on LinkedIn. But that's Dani. But I want to talk about Dani and the impact that Dani had on me. before my live shows, before the consistency, the rhythm of creating on a daily basis, came that mind shift. And Dani Maldonado is the guy who helped me to make that shift in my mind. I paid him a little bit of money. It's his business, a very little bit of money, way less than the value that I got from it. Wasn't a massive program and not a long-term commitment, just a starting point. And I used a lot of the ideas that he shared, very practical ideas. Not all of them, but the ideas that he shared, that wasn't the biggest value. The value that he provided for me was helping me to understand two things. One is that shift of the mindset, just getting out of the mindset of consuming and comparing with what you consume and just creating and putting stuff out there. And the very idea that I control what I put out into the world, which is just kind of crazy, right? Instead of reacting to somebody else's post, I'm controlling what I put out into the world. And that change helped me to approach my visibility, developing consistency, developing structures, campaigns, and things like that. Absolutely. But it was that mindset shift that Dani introduced me to move from scrolling to sharing, from observing to contributing. That shift, that's what changed my relationship with visibility. And it helped me to think clearer, to build my confidence, to encourage conversation, that in turn, again, I talked about Amy Reiner, my first LinkedIn friend yesterday. Dani Maldonado is what I would consider to be my second true LinkedIn friend who had an impact on me heading into the beginning of my year, this past year of putting in the work and learning and growing. So thank you, Dani. Thank you for helping me take that first step, because sometimes growth begins with a small decision, the decision to participate and make yourself visible. Thanks, Dani. So that's it. That was it. That was the Dani Maldonado one. All right. Cool. Roseanne, the more you get out of the I and you focus on helping and doing for others, the balance comes back. I agree with you, Roseanne, Mom. You know this. I know I've learned from you. When I'm inside my head and thinking about myself, that's when trouble happens. But when I get out of the I and I focus on helping and doing for others, just like you said, that brings that balance back. All right. Okay, a little bit different segment we're going to roll into here as we wind along. And I just was thinking about inspirational stories about visibility, people whose ideas shaped the world, and how those ideas began quietly. They started somewhere before recognition, before validation, before certainty. It was someone choosing to share something before they would even know how it would be received. A painting, an idea, their voice, their point of view, because visibility often begins before the encouragement arrives, right? Here this week, I'm just gonna, not this week. This week I'm talking about visibility, but today, coffee's giving me a little acid reflux this morning, Mom. Stories of individuals who chose to express something meaningful before the world was ready to applaud them. Because history reminds us that participation often precedes the recognition, and sometimes the simple act of sharing something honestly creates your impact far beyond what you can initially see. There's a guy who created 2,000 works of art during his lifetime. Some of the most recognized painting in the world, but while he was alive, he was largely unseen. They think that maybe he only sold one painting during his lifetime, despite continuing to create intensely without recognition. His visibility did not begin with public validation. He created, he had to create, he participated before he was acknowledged. You guys know who I'm talking about? Starry Night, Sunflowers, Vincent van Gogh. Visibility begins quietly, and the work matters before the world notices, and expression invites discovery. Absolutely. And sometimes that takes time. It did in Vincent van Gogh's case. And there's another person, a woman who didn't become famous in her 20s, in her 30s, or even her early 40s. She wrote her first book at the age of 49 and had her first television appearance before happened because she agreed to demonstrate a recipe, a little recipe on a small educational program. Not a polished media strategy, just a willingness to share something she loved, and her authenticity resonated. Her joy was visible, her curiosity contagious, and her willingness to be imperfect on camera that made her relatable. Oh, I cut the dickens out of my finger. First appearance led to the French Chef. We're talking about Julia Child, French Chef, and eventually changed how Americans actually think about cooking because her visibility began with participation, not performance, and not perfection, just participation. So Vincent van Gogh and Julia Child, there are examples from IRL, as they say, as kids say it these days. All right, enough's enough. Today's been a little bit of a wacky day here on Kindness. We're still getting up and getting after it every day. Every show can be a water break. Not when you do it every day. But how's this for a tune to wind us out of here? All right. Today I want you to do something special for our Kindness Call. I just want you to create something small. A short reflection, an idea, a question, something that shifts you from the observer to the participant. Involved. Notice what happens, notice what you learn, and notice how it feels. Encourage someone else who is beginning to support them. The support will reduce their hesitation and lead to their participation in the creative momentum. That's what I want you to do today. One small thing for others who are doing that as well. Remember that fear of judgment often appears larger than it truly is because it exists mostly right in here, right? Before the experience. When we test that fear, when we discover something encouraging, the cost of participation is usually lower than what we expected. In other words, what we fear never comes true, and the benefits are often greater. Clarity, connection, confidence, and momentum. For the rest of the week, we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to continue sharing reflections from the past year, the people, the conversations, and the unexpected encouragement that emerged simply from choosing to participate. Absolutely. Choosing to create changes how we experience the world. It changed it for me. I know it changed it for Keith and John and everyone in the mornings in the lab. So get on over and see Morning in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. And don't forget today, 8:30 a.m., it starts with joy. Today is a joyful day. Let's dance with Cheryl Raphael. It starts with joy at 8:30. Go check out Keith and John right now at 8. Slide over to Cheryl at 8:30. Bounce back and forth. That's what we're doing here on the Mornings in the Lab network. We're creating a network of shows that you can enjoy live. But make sure you come on back tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, right here to Kindness Rising. And until then, stay uncommon, stay kind.
What if your mornings could be inspiring and ridiculously fun?
Kindness Rising isn't just a show, it's a full wake-up line.
It's freaking fun, people.
Yeah, man, it's got real get after it.
I love it.
Wake up to kindness rising.
I help purpose-driven people grow their impact.
5-ingredient recipe to help you build your personal brand.
Get out there and take kind action.
If it's live, they'll feel it.
On Kindness Rising, we bring you proven strategies and fresh ideas you can actually use. If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly. Fail fast, rebound fast.
You'll see the bloopers and the genuine connections that make kindness contagious. We sometimes get into a little bit of trouble.
Pretty much my life made the list.
You can trust what you see right here is honest, respectful, and uplifting. Social impact organizations, and we'll always talk about them. Try kindness. It's way cheaper than therapy. You just made my day.